Hey guys, got a 15-10 game on the board and my opponent's rated 931. I think this is unrated, so we are going to go... What are we going to go? Let's play something normalish. So I'm not going to play my normal Vienna. See what they do. I'm expecting knight c6. It's the most common move by far. How you all doing? Building up an idea for a new type of video, which I might as well tell you about while waiting for Black to move. Thinking about doing a game where we get several players with different ratings, right? All playing together against, say, a bot, right? And the idea is that what we'll do is, in order to help you as an improving player to understand and to really grasp the difference between like a 700, 800, 1000, 1200, 1400, right? Then what we could do is say from the position, starting with the lowest rated player on the team to give their description of how they read the board, their assessment of candidate moves and what move they would play, right? And then from that, we can then move up through the ratings, okay? So what I'm thinking here is, it's a bit early to move the queen out. It undefends c7, so I'd love to get a knight to there. So I think knight d5 looks very natural now. An alternative would be to play d3 and then bring the bishop out, g5 and hit the queen there. But this is a very, very classic move. When the queen comes to either of these squares, you want to get your knight on it. Alright, so this is one of those very, very typical kind of opening decisions that really do show the difference between beginners and more advanced players. So let's count development. Okay, we have 3 against 2. Makes complete sense. White should be 1 up, but I've only moved 1 pawn, whereas black's moved 2, yeah? Now, if I take, and say queen takes, then we've got 2 on 1. Okay, so I'm still ahead in development, but if I play like my queen to here, so the issue is bishop is under attack and is undefended. Okay, so my hanging bishop is being attacked. Now, there's a few ways to respond. I could retreat the bishop, and then black might capture and I recapture with a pawn. Okay, that's not bad. But here, what I need to do is I need to save the bishop. Okay, either by defending it or moving out the way or whatever. Okay, this would not be good because we just get c6 and then I'm kicked again and I've lost tempo. But queen to e2, I think in this case, then if bishop captures, or not that way, you're not a knight, yeah? Then if bishop captures and queen captures, then I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces out on the board, 2, black's 1, and that makes a difference. Apparently they've disconnected. Let's see how we go. So this is how you need to be thinking, right? With option 1, say if option 1, retreat the bishop, takes, then what are we going to have? I'll have 2 in the board and they will have 1 on the board, okay? That's fine. So I'm 1 in front, 1 tempo, 1 development step in front, yeah? If I capture and pawn captures or queen captures, same difference, then I'd have 2, again they'd have 1, okay? So however, this way, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, they've got 3. Okay, so what I'm thinking now is, knight to d5 hits the queen and c7. So either the queen has to retreat all the way back to her starting square on d8, or bishop has to capture. And I think bishop captures is good for me because I capture with the bishop, got a nice strong bishop in there. Or is there any other kind of alternative here? If I take queen takes, attack the queen, Queen can't go on this diagonal. No, I don't know about that. If I put my knight there, bishop takes is obvious. Or do we go for this idea? Well, if I play that, it breaks my queen's defense of the bishop, yeah, so we could then have bishop takes there. So I'm going to play the knight in. 1, 2, 3, 4 against 3, and I'm ready to castle, which is worth 2 points in development. Black could castle long, which could be interesting. But black has here favoured the development of queenside pieces over kingside pieces. So, 2 big threats here. The question is, how are you going to respond? If bishop captures, I do have the option of capturing with the e-pawn, which forces the knight to move, so tempo winning. If bishop takes, pawn takes, knight's under attack, knight has to move. I can continue with development. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight goes here, attacking my bishop. I don't have to worry because queen's defending it. Could even go here. Force that pawn to move. Then that's going to make it less appealing for black to think about castling long. But it all depends on my opponent's next move. I think he really should take right now. Because if queen back there is just undeveloped his piece, so then we're like 4 on 2. Yeah, okay. So bishop, I think just bishop. Then I can bring my queen up behind it, maybe look at f7. You see now, yeah, so now it's 3 against 2 in terms of development, so we're back on kind of an even keel. Pawn captures would have forced the knight to move, but then might have caused trouble for my bishop if knight had gone here and my bishop's still on this square. Let me drop my bishop back. Oh, he's doing the same to me. He wants a piece of my bishop and he's also attacking c2. I can easily defend that by just dropping the bishop back here. Now I might think about kicking the knight. Castles is also appealing. I'm tending to try and castle earlier than I used to. Oh, in fact, have we missed a trick here? Maybe not. Queen b5 check, also hitting the knight. But then if c6, that would have forked bishop and queen. So I have yeah, so let's think this through. If I'd have gone here, c6, now it's defended by the knight as well. So then I capture knight, pawn captures inwards, giving black a central pawn majority. No, that wouldn't have worked. So this is okay. Right, that's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? For one thing, I can play d3, which then puts 2 attackers on that pawn. I also haven't committed to castling kingside yet. So I think d3 looks good now. Also defends this pawn again. But the immediate threat is bishop and knight, and now looking at that pawn on g5. Even just play my bishop here and hit the knight again. So this means that black isn't going kingside. It's almost certainly wanting to go that away. So it might not be a bad idea for me to think about getting my queen and bishop, dark square bishop, onto this diagonal somehow. Or at least the bishop to here looks respectable. Okay, well that's bold. So there are options here. That's one idea. Hit the queen. Now if I do that, queen can't go there, there, can't capture. Can't go there. So the queen could go to any of these squares really, and can't go there or there. And then what do I do? If one of these two here, I've got any more colours now? Yeah, one of these two, then it's actually looking at my bishop on g5, and then if the pawn takes knight, nah, don't fancy that. I can play my knight to there, but it doesn't really have options. So I think simply knight back here looks good. That means the queen's attacking the pawn, bishop's still defending this, so the queen can move and capture that pawn if needed. It's quite aggressive, this. See, the new spectacles have arrived as well, so I've got now a glasses wearer, and the board's looking a lot sharper than it was. I see lots more pieces than I used to see. Right, black is now coming down to 10 minutes on the clock. See, what black hasn't done with these moves is regained any development. See, first move, I then play a pawn that can release my bishop. I guess this pawn in theory could release the dark square bishop as well. And he's moved the pawn again. And yeah, I've had to move my knight. Okay. So that's because my queen was attacking that, so defending with the queen. You could also have defended with a knight and developed at the same time. So, what do we want to do? Is castle's a bad move here? So if pawn advances, I've just got f takes. I think that's okay actually. I'll play that. Yeah, I'm not concerned about this lonely pawn now. If takes, f takes actually improves my situation. Okay. Right, that's kind of what we expected. So now it's good time for the pawns on the queen side to think about starting to move up the board. I'll get a bit of a pawn storm going, shall we? Okay, so let's move a3. So knight can't go there, so the knight's going to come back here or here. Most likely c6. Could improve the bishop maybe. I need to get this bishop employed. So what's the best way to do that? This knight's a little bit awkward. Can't go there. Could go here. Maybe ideas of going there. That's a possibility. I've got a queen here, just look at the loose a7 pawn. Which doesn't work obviously if the knight's on c6. If the knight goes back here, then that's certainly a move. I don't want to play f3, because then if the pawn advances, well I guess then we just lock off, don't we? That might not be too bad. There if pawn takes, got rook takes. Come out doubling up on rooks and do something down the king side. Don't think my opponent's really put foot wrong so far. Obviously material's equal. He's managed to castle. He's a little bit slow on development, but you know, I could say the same. Right, that's where we expected the knight to go. So now we're in the middle game, pretty much. Okay, that's defended once. Maybe just like something like this. Just think about pushing up the pawns. Doesn't have to be complicated. Then I could drop my bishop back here and double up against that pawn there. I don't really want to prompt black to start throwing pawns up on the king side either. Okay, that's a double attack on queen and bishop. Bishop's actually defended. So could go here. If he takes the bishop, knight takes. I think it's a nice place to go. See what his intentions are. Can't go here because bishop takes. If he captures the bishop, I've got knight takes. Okay, knight takes. Now this pawn is hanging. Queen's looking at it. And I think that has improved my situation in life. Okay, I'm just going to snatch the pawn, not going to think twice. Got there, king here, take on b7. And that's simply a case of not spotting undefended pieces. And you really should be, you should be playing long enough time controls that you've got time to scan the board on every move. Scan the whole board and just check that everything's safe. Okay, so now queen here, king there, queen takes b7. Not sure of the purpose of that move. Let's do this. There's only one move, and then queen takes there. So I've won myself 2 pawns. I've started to get this king on the move. These central dark squared pawns make it a little bit hard for my dark squared bishop to get involved in the fun, but there may be options. I have one check there, which could prompt a pawn push. That would be good for me, I think. Or the king could go here or here. Can't move backwards. Or do I just push the pawn? I'd like to move the knight so I can get all these pawns on the move. But where does the knight want to go? Knight here, queen here. Not really necessary. Let's throw in a check and just make him think a bit. So he can't retreat. So it's either that, or that. They're the only legal moves. That's not what I was expecting. Okay, I think knight in now, or pawn up. Okay, let's move the bishop to here. Just controlling some of the board on this side, giving me options. Not too concerned about king safety right now. Now this is fine. So if pushes, I might just push here. Yeah, and likewise if push. Yeah, so push, I push there. Even if it takes, I've got rook takes. It's no biggie. Bishop a7 threatens mate. So let's threaten mate. King really has to move here. Oh, it can't. King can't move. So how do you... oh no, it's not mate, is it? Because if queen there, then king comes here. Yeah. Alright, so what we said was we're going to push that h-pawn. So I'd like to get my knight involved as well. How can my knight cover this escape square? It can't really. My knight going there hits the bishop and the rook, and the bishop's not defended. So we might have rook here, and then that would be actually mate. Yeah? So knight a5, knight c6, hits the rook and the bishop, can't defend both, so he's going to play the rook either to there or there. If he plays it to d7, then queen b8 is checkmate. You've swapped off your knight now for a pawn, huh? Really? Really? Did you mean to do that? Let's think it through though. I've got plenty of time. Takes, queen takes. Then I push a pawn, hit the queen. I don't see the threat, so stick with the program. Now I can save this pawn, you see. The queen can't check me because my bishop is controlling this whole diagonal here. This is pretty funky, isn't it? Now I feel like I need to centralise my rooks. Maybe come after this pawn, yeah? So let's say I've got a rook on d1, queen there, king there, pawn up here. Okay, but you're a whole minor piece down now, and you're proposing an exchange. I accept. Very well, I accept. Alright, so we've brought the bishop back to safety. What? Don't know, right? When you're down on material and your king is exposed, one, you don't want to be trading things off, whether pawns or pieces, and secondly, you don't want to do anything that's going to expose your king, right? Right now, he's got a half-decent pawn structure. That's perfectly good, right? He wants to get his king behind there. I've only got a dark squared bishop, so these light squares are relatively safe. And also notice they're relatively safe from a... So if the king's on any of these, right, my knight can't check. Yeah? So with this dark squared pawn structure, the king has actually got a pretty good defense back there, and this just broke it. That's not good. Not good, precious. Okay. Play rook there. If he's in the mood for randomly swapping stuff off, then that suits me. Also I want to get my knight onto a square where it's safe, but it's safe from the bishop because it's on a light colour. So this, I think, is a case of my opponent starting to lose his bottle a bit. Okay, now the rook's attacking the knight. Okay, fair enough. I can come back here, or I can defend with a rook. Can't go there, because he's got 2 on 1. Just drop back then. And then I think that looks like a really nice square. Knights love to be in the centre. This is the absolute centre of the board, right? This is... Ah! You stole my pawn! Right, at least now I can force an exchange of rooks. I'm going to even pre-move the recapture. In fact, that is a smarter... I was just about to say that would be a smarter move. Although, you've now got a pin bishop. So maybe it wasn't as smart as it first appeared. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, well, I grabbed the bishop and I'm safe. Because he's got to get out of check, you see, on the next turn. And can't get there or there. Right, so now, this is now where this pawn starts to show its value. But now I just need to drop my rook back. Just guard the back rank. Right, really, really important. Okay, so now we're actually 2 minor pieces up for the sake of 2 pawns. Okay. So now it's time to use my minor pieces to try and clear these guys away, eventually this dangerous one. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go here. Might even make sense just to get my king into some space. This pawn could come down, I'd probably just take. In fact, I can take that. Well, that's defended by my bishop. So let me just defend the bishop's defended by my knight. Okay, so I can now, so adding a second defender to the bishop means that the knight is now free to take this pawn. And if pawn moves forward, so I might just capture, we'll see. Okay, is that safe? Looks safe. So when we finish the game, we'll just quickly review and spot the biggest issues for a 900 player. Okay. So the bishop's pinned. So I think I'm just going to slide my king across, really. Bishop's pinned, but it's protected right now. I think then knight to here. If I play knight to here, is he going to move there to defend the pawn? We can't defend both, actually. We can defend one or t'other. So I'm looking at both of these. Also threatening a fork here. But I imagine he's going to move his rook. Can't move any of these pawns. Could move the king, could move that pawn. Okay, let's just grab a pawn. And then this will hit the rook again. Or even this, actually. Because then if he takes off, that's actually also attacked by the bishop. I think resignation here would not be inappropriate. 6 points down in material. He did have 2 extra pawns, now he doesn't have 2 extra pawns. Okay, not sure the point of that one. I'll go there. 2 attackers on this pawn. Nothing you can do. So very often the right approach is fairly simple and blunt and obvious. A lot of people think that the best way forward should be some 10 move deep strategy that only a computer can figure out. But it very often just isn't. It's, spy a weakness, put more attackers and defenders on it. Put more attackers on it than your opponent can muster defenders. Okay. Now I can capture with a knight because he can't recapture because bishop takes, and the bishop is still protected by that. And my king will probably come to e2. Rook can't check here because of the pawn. All right. Okay. Let's play king e2. Rook can't go here with check because of the knight. If I move my knight, I might be able to play bishop here as well and hit both of these pawns. So that move hits that pawn. Oh no, that was a silly move, because now he can just pin the knight, can't he? You see how the quick moves blunder. Alright, game on. Now he really must absolutely not, under any circumstances, exchange rooks. Good. Okay, so I think bishop here looks alright. See how on that particular move I didn't do this sanity check, did I? Yeah? If he comes down here, it's no bother. I'll just move out of the way. He really can't trade rooks. He cannot trade rooks. Have you listened to a word I've said? Do not trade rooks. Don't even think about it. If you trade rooks, you've lost. Hands down. I can sack my bishop for that pawn. And then I've got 3 on 1. And my king is right there in the neighbourhood. Don't trade. You traded rooks. No! Haha. Okay, so have I got time to do this and come back here and protect the mating square? Yes, I do, okay? Bishop takes, well, you've got to count. You've got to learn to count in the endgame, right? Bishop takes, pawn goes there, bishop back here, and we're covered. It's fine. My king can even just handle that pawn on its own. And then if I go here, that's the square, okay. Right. Okay, let's make this fun. This is alright. I get the bishop out of the way. These pawns moving up as a posse. Okay, king can handle that. Now when I get all these pawns together, it means that my opponent's king cannot actually get anywhere on that. Okay, he's resigned. Yeah, absolutely, fair play. Right, so let's just go back to the start quickly. Normal opening, I mean this is quiet, you know, it does block in the dark squared bishop, and as we see, from this point, black actually struggled to develop on the king side. Bishop out, so I've got 2 pieces developed. Queen comes out, 3 on 1 now, 3 on 2, puts the question to my undefended bishop. Defend with the queen. Now it's 4 on 2, 4 on 3, and now I move my knight because I have a tactical idea. You know, it's attacking on c7, also attacking the queen. Makes sense. Was it a very sharp attack? Not really. You know, I don't think it was that dangerous. But I'm thinking if my opponent's rated under 1,000, you know, he might have just thought, oh, let's save the queen or something. And may have fallen for that, but maybe not at 900. So I have takes, and now I've got 3 on 2. Knight moves again, bishop moves again. Now the pawn comes up. Attack the knight, knight retreats. Okay. Now we start possible pawn storm. Did leave this hole for the knight, which I didn't check and didn't spot, but the bishop's defended, so we're okay. Material is still equal. 2 minor pieces off the board. And this I think was a bit of a turning point, right? So literally just not seeing, after the knight moved away, what's changed? Okay, there's nothing on this square. What does that mean? Oh, right? Well, what can go through that square that couldn't before? Yeah, queen to a7. So this now drops 2 pawns. And let's see how that affects the game as we go on. King back here I think was maybe okay, but I think I'd have... oh no, in fact, if king there, no I didn't. Couldn't have put queen there, it's defended. Anyway, king back there, develop last piece, piece in, threatening check. This is not a huge threat. And now sacrificing the knight for a pawn. I just don't get that. I confess I don't get that. I don't see the payoff. Well, he's got 2 pawns out of it, yeah? And a centralised queen, but now we swap off queens, and this was poor. This I think was a really bad idea, and you really do need to understand when you get into an ending, you've got to check out, when the queens are off the board, you've got to check out what minor pieces are left, right? Now, I've got a dark squared bishop, which means my bishop can't go there, 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 or there, or there, or there. There's loads of squares where it can't go because of this strong pawn chain. Now, if the kingy gets behind that, he's pretty much safe from the bishop, right? But he's also safe from the knight. If he stays on light squares, right, the only squares that my knight could check him from would be these. Yeah? And all of those squares are covered by the pawns on the dark squares. So this was ruinous for black to take like that. I try and swap off and yeah, drop a pawn. So yeah, he could have just swapped off here, but now takes, walks into a pin, which is unfortunate, and loses that. So yeah, if rook had come back down here with check, I have rook b1 defended by the knight, which is okay, or even knight b1 defended by the rook, but he's in check now anyway, so he has to move. Now I just drop my rook back just for safety. I don't want to leave him an opportunity, and then we just start sweeping up pawns because I've got 2 extra pieces. That's it. Okay, so that's the difference between 900 and 1400 player. If you're in the 900 to 1000 range, these are the things you need to be looking out for. You're still working on cutting out the blunders, right? Watch out for undefended pieces, watch out for pins, basic tactics, keep the discipline, and what we finished the game with, that's 7 minutes still on the clock, yeah? So, you know, my opponent could have taken a little bit more time than that. But yeah, there you go. That's a game against a 900 rated player, and these are the basic tactics that you need to be working on, looking out for, and you know, eliminate some of those blunders from your game. That's how you get to 1000, and then we'll carry on from there. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.